Hi, it's Matt and Dennis. Welcome to the podcast. This week we're talking about the value of martial arts for an older student. Older meaning older than a little kid. So senior really could be any adult student, but we're really talking about, in our experience, we work with people our age, late 30s, mid 40s, all the way up to 70s plus, and from time to time in the 80s.
Right. That's the range.
That's the range. Before we get started though, I was thinking about this earlier. I am a big fan of martial arts movies, although I don't often watch movies now. I've missed a lot of movies in the last few years. Some of my favorite movies have older actors or older martial artists portrayed doing martial arts in the movies. How about you? What's your favorite?
Well, a couple popped to mind right away. Jackie Chan, who is now kind of a senior citizen.
Yeah, and he's still moving and grooving.
He's still doing it.
And I think even when he was younger, he looked old.
Yeah.
So a lot of skill.
The classic, of course, Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah,
wax on, wax off. Yeah. Karate Kid.
Yeah, and Mr. Miyagi really also was the template for the mentor or the martial artist as a mentor, right? The martial artist who could help change your life, teach you self-defense, but also teach you how to discipline your body, your mind, how to make better decisions, things like that. Right.
There was also a TV show called Kung Fu that had David Carradine as someone who wandered the old American West as a martial artist, and he had some mentors and people who kind of led him.
All I can remember is him walking on rice paper or something, or maybe footprints in the desert. I don't know. I was a kid when that came out.
Well, it was a long time ago, so I just kind of remember that occasionally somewhere in the ether he would tune into his mentors or his old weazened masters with the long Fu Manchu mustache, and they would call him.
That was a TV show, right?
They would call him Grasshopper, and
That's back when they started having talkies on TV.
Talkies,
black and white.
Right.
I'm thinking of something maybe a little bit more contemporary. I know Michael Jai White's really popular right now, and everybody keeps directing me to this kid, Scott Adkins, and I watched some of his stuff, and he's actually on a scale, and I'm not busting on Scott Adkins, he's in great shape, but his skills are not the same level as someone like a Michael Jai White, and I don't know either one of them, but just from what I'm watching. The Matrix movie, and they're in the thing, the guy's doing the whole Wing Chun, and then in one of my favorite movies, Taken. Dennis has never seen it. It starts off, the guy is estranged from his wife, and she's maybe remarried to some dude's got a lot of money, he's got his own plane, and his daughter, who's a teenager, is going to Paris with a friend, and his dad says something like, hey, be safe, be careful, and the mom's like, why are you telling her that? And anyway, to cut to it, she gets to Paris, someone kidnaps her, and she's on the phone with the father while she's being kidnapped. All of a sudden, the kidnapper comes on the phone, and Liam Neeson's character says something like, hey, I tell you, I'll give you one shot, you leave now, leave my daughter, don't mess with her, or something like that, or I'm coming for you. Yeah. And the guy says something like, good luck, click. Yeah. And then, fast forward, the dude's, Liam Neeson's character shoves the two tenpenny nails in the dude's leg, turns up the electricity. Ooh. After he Wing Chuns the guy.
Wing Chun.
He's doing some kind of hubad lubad or some kind of FMA for you FMA guys. You know what I'm talking about, the Filipino martial arts.
Right. Silat.
Yeah, and I think the, similar kind of stuff that you see, Tommy Lee Jones and Benicio del Toro. They're fighting with the knives and the sticks, the Kali stuff. Can't remember the name of that. If you can remember the name of that movie, put it in the description below. Right. I can't remember it myself. Yeah. But that was a really good one. Yeah. And they're, so I think a lot of good movies with older actors doing martial arts.
Well, I think in those sorts of situations, the older martial artist is often cast in the role of the mentor, of the guru, or someone who is imbued with a great deal of wisdom, and it's not so much the chop sake stuff anymore. It's more kind of the wisdom that has come from doing martial arts, practicing martial arts for a long period of time.
But you got to watch the Taken movie, even though he's using the guns a lot. He's got some of the gun kwando, but he's not just the wise old guy. He's got a PhD, 10th degree black belt level in butt kickery.
Yeah.
I'll put it that way. And he just breaks people in half.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, yeah. Kind of like the old Death Wish movie. Not the new, I haven't seen the new ones. I don't like remakes, personally speaking.
Yeah.
But the old Death Wish movies with
Well, he was Charles Bronson.
Charles, man, that dude was. That
You
dude
know,
was tough.
if you watch the very first one of those,
That's another
he
Gun
takes a
Kwon Do
sock
kinda guy.
and fills it with quarters. That's
Yeah.
his first weapon.
Uh-huh.
Before he goes to a Glock or whatever the gun is, at the very beginning of his quest, he uses a sock full of quarters, which
Yeah.
we used to call a sap. And
I didn't know there was a name
oh no,
for
it works pretty well actually.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they told me. I don't.
In the Marine Corps, back before it was probably always banned, but I'm old enough that in the Marine Corps they still hit you and cussed at you.
Right.
And we would use soap in a sock.
Soap in a sock.
Soap in a sock in the bed.
Or if you really want to do some damage.
Not the right way to do it.
No,
but you are preparing men and now women to be in combat in
Well,
war.
for self-defense.
Yeah.
And if you really...
Let's not get into the whole...
Oh, no, one
yeah,
more, please.
No more politics.
You buy sodas and you put them in your pillowcase. You fill up your pillowcase in the bottom with full cans of soda.
Yeah.
Works really well.
You're
Or
sticking
you're in
quarters,
jail and that's where you
Yeah,
use
you're
it.
sticking quarters in
There you
socks, soap. Don't do that kind of
Okay.
stuff.
No.
We're not endorsing that here. We're just
No.
recalling some of our history from the way back as we talk. But back to the subject at hand.
Back to the subject at hand.
The value of martial arts for somebody, and I saw it a lot this week. I recently have heard this. This is a story that I've heard over and over and over again. It's of the older person, and the older can be like 38, but somebody who's living a very sedentary lifestyle for whatever reason, but they're blaming age, and they reach for something in the back seat, and they pull it forward, and they've got a torn rotator cuff, and this, all the surgeries later, and then they lose even more mobility, they become even more sedentary. And this idea of injuries, just doing basic, daily, simple activities, things that should not be breaking your body down like that.
Right.
And so I think martial arts for me, everything comes through, especially the punching, the kicking, everything that's crossing the body. We're working the transverse plane, and as opposed to just moving front and back or side to side, which is how most people move. The other thing that happens is lifting the hands up over the head. I'm shocked when I talk to physical therapists and they talk about how few or how little people are reaching, lifting anything above their head, taking anything off of a shelf. And in fact, I know that from the business side of things, a lot of stores won't put things on a certain shelf because people are afraid when they lift their hands up, they're going to expose their belly because they're embarrassed about their belly,
right.
instead of watching what they eat and doing some exercise. And lawsuits.
Yeah, they don't want to pull a case of tomato soup down on their head or something.
Well, that's not even tomato soup. They're reaching for a pillow. And they, or they're walking through, they slip and fall. All of these things that shouldn't really be an issue, that are an issue, not just because we live in a litigious society, a lot of big words today, but, whereas everybody's suing everybody.
Yeah.
But also just because, one of the statistics I saw the other day is that within a few years, certain states in America are going to cross the 60% obese rate. 60%. So that means we're past 50, right? In a lot of states. And I think we live in one of those states right now. I think we're in one of those states right now. Dennis is getting ready to head back to the coast.
Another state that's like that.
Yeah. That's America.
Yeah.
But it's not just America. It's America. It's Australia. It's Great Britain. It's Ireland.
It's China even now.
Yeah. China.
China and Japan.
When we went to China years ago, the things that shocked me the most were how. So you go to Korea, everything's clean. The people are super. It's a very polite culture. It's a very safe culture in most places. Then you go, and people are pretty well dressed. Everybody's working hard. You go to Japan, same thing. People are dressed even more. Posh, but also very clean. The society, everywhere you go outside the public places are very clean. All the businesses are very clean. Everybody's seems to be very hard at work. And then you get to China, and it's like you're in Dayton, Ohio. Everybody's wearing T-shirts. They're untucked. They got soft shorts on. They're walking around in flip-flops.
They spit. They
They're-
hop.
yeah.
And
they're driving Buicks. they're driving Buicks and you're going past Walmart, and that's, you know, homogenization.
Yeah.
Look at all these big words. Homogenization of the world. You know, we're all starting to look and act the same, and
Well, like,
yeah. But the you know, the other part of that is all the lifestyle diseases, diabetes, heart attack, stroke, high blood pressure, a lot of the cancers, and all those things can be avoided by exercise. Back to our original point.
right.
One of the things that we do best.
And that's what I was going to talk about is different kinds of self-defense. Senior Taekwondo involves many, many different kinds of self-defense, and it's a lot of different kinds of self-defense that are very practical and may not necessarily involve defending yourself against someone who's trying to do harm to you in the immediate moment, but things like learning that if you exercise a little bit every day, you can avoid those sorts of injuries, that rotator cuff that comes from reaching in the back seat or reaching up on the shelf. There's self-defense against that. There's self-defense against obesity, which is eating the right foods and eating a good diet. There's self-defense against a number of things that are all talked about and supported and championed in senior Taekwondo beyond just protecting yourself physically from an attack, which we also talk about. But I think it's helpful, especially in terms of deciding if you want to do martial arts, that there's so much that can be gained from practicing it in a great number of ways. So I think that goes towards helping people to decide that you're not too old to do martial arts. You're not too much of a senior to do martial arts.
And you probably don't feel that way anyway. And it might just be, you know, watching something like this or thinking about it this way that allows you to get started.
That's true. That's
Sometimes you need permission, or you just need a little bit more information, which is why we all search the web now, which says, yeah, it's okay. You're not going to die. You're not going to get hurt. It's not bad for you. And if you haven't done it before, and if you've done it before, obviously you know all the value and the benefits. One of the most common comments that I get from people who come across my content is that they are now similar to my age or older, and they did martial arts. They did Taekwondo, karate, they did another martial art for years when they were younger, and then they stopped in their 20s or 30s, haven't done anything for 20 years, and they're intimidated. They're afraid that when they go back into the school, they're going to be expected to do the same things that they did back then because of either the rank that they have now, or they're very self-critical and they're saying, well, I can't move like I used to move. And you know, I think you had that experience with running. I mean,
right. Well, and that's another point to make that kind of goes back to one of our previous podcasts, which was talking about before you do martial arts, doing some investigation. You know, looking at the kinds of things that they do in a martial arts school, you know, and the kinds of things that can be accomplished. I mean, you know, you have to do a little research. You should do a little research in order to make your choice more satisfying and to make sure that you don't have to go through 2 or 3 different tries to get it right, because let's face it, as you get older, sometimes you lose a little bit of patience in terms of being able to try things over and over again. I know I am that way. You know, I like to get to the point and I like to have things explained to me. And I can do that to a large degree myself if I do a little research and look at what the school or schools I may attend, how they go about things. If they do have patience with you, if you're coming back from taking martial arts when you're young and of course you're a little older, or if you're starting out as an older person, to make sure that they have an understanding of that and some patience with you. It's just like going to a doctor. There's doctors who are gerontologists who are specializing in dealing with older patients, as opposed to just a general physician who may or may not have the sensitivity that it takes to deal with people who are, you know, maybe doing something that's a little bit out of the expectation for their age group and their range. So.
And some people are just jerks.
Well,
you might run into the wrong kind of person, which is why I always say go into every school that you can and check them out. Find the right personality that meets your personality that's going to help you. But the other thing is also, I think you kind of touched on, is that beginner's mind that you have to have as a person, because you, like, as you said, you sometimes your patience is a little bit shorter. Yeah. So you still have to struggle. You still have to put yourself into that beginner's mind or beginner's mindset and allow yourself to stink, not be very good.
Right. And my experience has been, to this point, when I started martial arts, again, as I said in previous podcasts, or maybe you didn't watch, so I'll tell you again, I started when I was 49 years old. And there have been cycles through my martial arts training for the past 18 years where I have been maybe one of 2 or 3 adults in most classes to points where we had a lot of adults. And it kind of goes in cycles a little bit. And there's advantages and challenges to both. I mean, particularly when you start at age 49 and you're in a class with a lot of children, your ego has something to say a lot of times in there. And as Matt mentioned about the beginner's mind, that's an incredibly invaluable principle to remind you that you're there to learn. And you can learn at any age, but when you learn, you need to keep your mouth closed and your ears open. That's part of beginner's mind. And so it was helpful to me to be in a class with a lot of children who are children and act like children and may look at you sometimes and go, how does that guy, what is he doing here? Or that sort of thing. Or you find that obviously you can't do the kinds of things that they do just because, you have some wear and tear on your body. So it's good if you learn that lesson early, which I did, but at some point through your process of martial arts, you're going to be with adults, and possibly in most schools, you're going to spend some time taking class with children, may or may not. I thought it was a good experience. It was helpful to me.
Yeah, and I just want to throw in our experience here for the last 26 years, I've kept them separate. I don't like to teach. I like to teach kids with kids, adults with adults. Personally, I don't like to go to the gym when there are a bunch of high school kids in there. Right. No offense. But I like to go in and I like to be with adults because I teach kids in the evening. I need to have an adult time too.
Right.
And so what Dennis is talking about is once you get to a certain level, everybody's a black belt. And that's when you have kids and adults. In our program here, you have some kids and adults together. Right. But before that, you have just adults in a program. That might be, for years, we ran a daytime class. It was a lot of fun. It was a very diverse group of people.
It depends on the size of the school.
All adults.
It depends on the size of the school. I mean,
well, not just the size of the school, but also the understanding and the intention
True.
of the instructor. Because I intended, and I went out and I made that happen. And a lot of instructors, I don't know why, either think they can't make that happen, or usually it has to do with the way it was in their instructor's school. They came from another school. The guy or the girl who taught that person did it this way, so they have to do it this way because they think that's the only way to do it,
Right.
which is not right. You can, it's your school, do it the way you want to do it.
Unfortunately, it could be economics too. So,
Whatever. I don't believe in that, but
all right.
we can agree to disagree.
Sure.
Yeah, we do often.
Sure.
But the point is, find a school that has adults. And if you have a school, here's my personal plea to you as a martial arts school owner, if you own a martial arts school, make a program just for adults.
Good.
Go for it. Even if it's one adult, then it's a private lesson. Say to the adult, hey, help us find another one. Let's bring somebody else in. Then you have 2, now it's a class.
Right.
And then you grow from there. That's the only way that you can continue to grow that.
Right.
But we have to get more adults back into the traditional martial arts, or it's all going to die.
That's true. But, and here, once again, we will agree to disagree, but I think occasionally subjecting your ego to children is beneficial.
For sure. And Dennis got to do that when he taught here also. And teaching is a whole different beast.
It is. It is.
It's a different science and art. And it's one that can be mastered. It's a lot of fun. I love working with kids.
And let me make
but I also love working with adults.
Right.
I have to have balance.
And let me make one more point about that. And that is that as a senior Taekwondo person, as a senior martial artist, I think people who are the most driven to be able to do that, to be able to accept the challenge, to be able to accept the challenge to their ego and to their body and to their mind, are people who have kept the child alive in them. Once again, having beginner's mind is about recognizing the good things that are described maybe as childlike: curiosity, enthusiasm, courage to try new things. Those are sometimes, I would say a lot of times, associated with children, and as an older person, as a senior Taekwondo practitioner, I celebrate my parts of my mind that are still connected to children and being a child. So.
And the other edge of that sharp sword is that you become an example of what it looks like to age. You become an example of what it looks like to control your emotion, to be kind on purpose, to demonstrate hard work and discipline, all of the things that our young people need from us. It's our job. The next time you find yourself or you hear somebody else whining about millennials, you have to remember we made them. We gave them those trophies. We gave them all of that encouragement and told them they were wonderful and they couldn't lose. And we turned them into the snowflakes that everybody likes to, they like throwing that slander at them, saying they're snowflakes. But before you start to do that and you start to go down that rabbit hole, turn that finger like this, you did that. And if you want to undo that, you have to start by your example first. You can't go out preaching to them and talking to them, talking down to them like they've done something wrong. You did it. I did it. We did it. So if we want to fix it, we have to be the example they need to see, and then witness, speak from that, you know, that example of hard work and discipline and self-control and confidence building, all the things that we need to do that we don't think they do well enough. We need to stay off the couch. We need to keep the Netflix turned off, and we need to get ourselves into that routine of doing the work so they can learn how to do the work from our example.
Absolutely. The way I say it is live your life the way you want the world to be. And that's what we try to do.
I think Gandhi said that.
It was my uncle Gandhi, yes.
Now, how did he say it? Oh, be the change.
Be the ball.
Be the change you wish to be. You know, and I don't know about all these sayings. Are they really, you know?
No.
I think half the things that are attributed to people saying them,
I know.
I think it's just, you know, a really clever quote.
Yeah,
that made
Abraham
sense.
Lincoln said everything on the internet is true.
Yeah, Genghis Khan once said that his favorite movie was Taken, and his favorite scene was when Liam stuck the nails, the 10-penny nails. You know, I tried bending a 10-penny nail once.
I know. You used to bring this shit down to me all the time. I'd be down in my office. You'd be like, "Get up! Look what I'm doing."
I walked around with buckets of bent
I know,
nails.
breaking this damn rock.
And then you know what happened?
You broke.
I hurt myself.
Jesus.
Yeah, I have a half 10-penny nail.
This is what you have to look forward to right here.
Yeah,
okay.
I know. It's good. That doesn't mean I'm going to quit.
Oh no! Yeah. Was that a shot? Okay.
I don't know.
Anyway,
I think that's where we finish this week.
Yep.
We hope to see you online or in the dojo, either the virtual dojo or in the school. And the both of us, we like to travel, and we'll be teaching. I know Dennis goes to Maine and teaches. He's down in Key West and teaches, and he's teaching in
Carolina Beach,
Carolina Beach, and I like to travel and teach too.
Absolutely.
So we hope we see you soon. Reach out to us if you have any questions or any concerns, or if you have any comments, or you think that we really suck. Put that in the comments, and we'll see you on the next one.